Welcome to Pivot Mindset webinar. Thanks for joining us today. We have some wonderful things to share with you today, starting with 11 reasons to consider making a pivot right now. And we have 8 signs that you're ready for change and 8 strategies to help you make that change right now. I am Sherry Nomadi, and I am co-founder of X Promos Marketing Mastery. I am here today with my business partner of 31 years, Yvette Brown. Now, we've been in business over 30 years, and we've already made 4 major pivots, and they were all in response to changing market conditions. You see, we started our business in 1989 during a recession. And then in 2001, on 9/11, we had to pull a nationwide touring event out of Washington, D.C. When the housing market crashed in 2008, so did the marketing budgets of 2 of our biggest clients. And then in 2015, we went remote, working from opposite coast. And through all these changes, we remained standing. Each pivot proved better than before. And what we've come to realize is that something we want to share with you today, that in order to succeed, you've got to get your head in the right place. Our first pivot was really like that. When we started our business, we actually had a third partner. We didn't really think it through at the beginning. We just kind of started. It was never a great fit, but we just kind of hung in there for 6 years. And finally, we realized that we were going to move forward and buy her out. I'll tell you, it was ugly. It was painful, but after we got through it, we felt so much more relief and ready to move forward with even greater success than we had in our first 6 years.
You know, even though that day was 25 plus years ago, I remember like it was yesterday. We set the meeting up with her to tell her that we wanted to buy her out. I was so nervous and I felt like I was betraying her, but when I saw how prepared she was for that meeting and her subsequent response, it made it so very clear that we should have made the break way sooner. And that's kind of what happens with the pivots. So let's get started. First, let's discuss 10 reasons to pivot right now. Number 1, you pivot for growth. When you make a change in one area of your life, all areas tend to follow suit. Our best example of this is when we did our business pivot in 2015. It was totally painful as Sherry moved to the East Coast from California, and we went remote after 25 years of sharing an office together. We had to physically manage the move by dividing up our office gear, our artwork, our awards, and like so much more. We had to learn to connect across a 3-hour time difference. It was really hard, but the benefits have been tremendous. We're ahead of the curve on using cloud-based services to run and track our business. Frankly, we're old pros at using Zoom and GoToMeeting. And now we easily have handled the pandemic because we already had all the remote systems in place. And so we could really help others navigate these changes. We certainly couldn't have foreseen the pandemic 5 years ago, but it certainly has prepared us for where we are today.
That's right. And number 2 is flexibility. You see, when you're flexible, you're adaptable and you're resilient. And this pandemic has taught us really how important that skill is to have. Right now, we have a lot of friends and family members that are struggling because it is so uncertain surrounding the coronavirus. But Yvette and I, we remain amazingly calm. Yes, we've suffered business losses, but we're confident in our abilities that we can work through all of these challenges today.
Yeah, when we see the struggles of those around us, it makes me so very grateful to be flexible, adaptable, and resilient. Sherry and I, we have an underlying confidence that comes with the mastery of these skills that it really is game changing. Next, number 3, be better. When you make changes in one area, you oftentimes become better in other areas. There's a great book on this called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Basically, it explains the neuroscience behind how habits form and how one good habit can lead to a number of other positive changes. We'll drop the link below so you can check out the book. If you haven't read it, I definitely suggest you check it out.
Number 4, this is a reevaluation. And certainly this pandemic has given us a lot of time and opportunity to reevaluate our lives and where we're at with it. So if you haven't done so already, take some time right now and decide what's most important to you and whether or not your actions today are aligned with your priorities. A dear friend of ours and colleague lost his wife to cancer several years ago when their kids were still in grade school. So what did he do? He put his business on hold, and him and the kids moved to a foreign country. And they spent a couple of years there together, grieving and bonding over their loss. A few years later, they all returned back to the States, stronger than when they left. And what did he do when he returned with his business? He pivoted. And he pivoted to focus on his part of the business that he enjoyed the most. And what that did was that gave him the flexibility to manage life now as a single dad and business owner.
Number 5, snowballing. As we talked about in reason number 3, little changes can add up to significant changes. And that's also covered in the book, The Power of Habit. Marathon running programs are a great example of this. Someone who has never run before can actually follow a marathon training program over several months and build up the stamina and the endurance to complete an entire marathon. Personally, I've never done a marathon, but I have completed a half marathon, and I followed a very similar course, and it was something that I thought I never would be able to do, but I did.
My Ironman training was exactly like that. I really never imagined that I could swim 2.5 miles, followed by a 112-mile bike ride, and then finishing off the day with a marathon and running 26.2 miles, all in one day. But I did, and I did it 3 times. The training was intense, but it is really built on the idea of little changes, one day at a time, to accomplish big things. Number 6 is non-physical strength. One of our favorite quotes is, "That which does not kill you makes you stronger." I think we live by that quote every day. You see, every challenge we've overcome as a small business owner in the past 31 years has made us stronger. Everything from losing our biggest client through management changes, through canceling programs because of market conditions, cash flow crunches, and even bad employee hires. But we've survived them all.
Yeah, it really is kind of a pretty long list when we sit back and think about it, but it is absolutely what has built our confidence and our resiliency. And it can do that for you too. Number 7. One of my other favorite quotes on progression in particular is from boxer Muhammad Ali, who said, "A man who views the world the same at 50 as he did at 20 has wasted 30 years of his life." The older I get, the more I appreciate that quote. And the reality is, life is a growth process. Embrace it.
Number 8, new choices. I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite parts of pivoting, because when you change, you open up this whole new world of possibilities that you didn't even know existed. You really do have to trust the process, because you can't foresee or predict these choices. They just appear once you make that decision to pivot. Our business today looks nothing like what we expected when Yvette and I started in 1989, and we were both in our 20s. But I will tell you that every pivot has been fulfilling and rewarding and worth it.
I would have to agree with that, Sherry, which moves us on to number 9, fresh starts. I am totally big on fresh starts. I'm one of those people that wakes up and feels like each day is a new beginning, a new chance to succeed at moving forward toward my goals. Little changes help create those fresh starts. Pivoting helps you take advantage of that feeling that comes with a brand new start.
Number 10, customs. I love family traditions, and I've always loved creating new ones with my kids and now my grandkids. When my kids were little, we started a lot of family traditions, some that continue to today. Like, even though my kids are grown adults, we still all wear matching pajamas on Christmas morning. And when we're able to all get together and gather around for dinner, we still do 2 of my favorite family customs, and that is I will put on instrumental background music for dinner, and we go around the table and we talk about our favorite part of the day.
That's awesome, Sherry. And now we're going to move on to our bonus, number 11, on reasons to change today. Let's face it, the world around us is changing dramatically. We're facing the reality of a new normal, and we don't know today exactly what that looks like. But what we do know is that those who pivot now, those who start making changes to adapt, will definitely be ahead of the curve as the country and the world bounces back. And this, my friend, if nothing else, is the best reason yet to pivot now.
That's right. And here are 8 signs that it may be time to pivot your career, not including the obvious one where your career or your business may be in jeopardy due to the current pandemic and market conditions.
First one is you aren't learning anymore. The reality is that continuing education really is a fundamental part of life. We invest time and money to evolve. We always have. And it has paid big dividends for us as a marketing agency by allowing us to remain relevant and on the cutting edge. What do those investments look like? Well, it's everything from taking training courses on evolving tactics in digital marketing to investing time and energy into trying new products like Shopify stores. For us, we believe that we can best serve our customers and clients by knowing firsthand how things are working and what the vibe is in the marketplace.
Next, it's that you don't feel satisfied with your contributions. We all know that feeling of just mailing it in when you feel like your work doesn't really matter. I am telling you, that is a clear sign that it is time to consider a pivot.
Next, you aren't enjoying your work. I am absolutely lucky, and I'm grateful for that every single day. I found my dream job at 22, and I never looked back. It wasn't even my original career path. I kind of fell into it, fell into finding my business partner, and at 22, we started out, and literally that's the last job I've had. Doing what you love makes a huge part of your life so much more enjoyable. And for us, as part of our second pivot, we realized that we had strayed away from the part of business ownership that we enjoyed the most. So we actually returned to our roots and again felt fulfilled in our work.
Next is you don't feel valued or appreciated. We've had more than one client relationship where it ended up feeling like this, where we do this amazing job and we believe that we are over delivering and delighting. Yet the recipient just didn't see it that way. Not at all. So it's never a good match in the end. And we've learned that the sooner you cut bait with those relationships, the better.
Next up is when you're having regular negative feelings about your work. If you're constantly feeling dread about going to work, then it really is time to look for alternatives. Again, I found my dream job a long time ago, but there are parts of my job I dread. If I had to do those parts full time, I would definitely be pursuing another line of work.
Maybe your health is suffering. I mean, look, if your work is negatively affecting your life, either mentally or physically, you know that it is time to move on, make that change, pivot now.
Next, maybe you've topped out. This one is a little trickier nowadays because many organizations have flattened. And it's a big challenge for senior management to keep good people when there are not obvious pathways and corporate ladders for advancement. So before you decide there's nowhere to go, we would suggest you confirm that with your organization. Don't assume. Many organizations are trying different routes to keep people engaged. If there really is no pathway of interest for you, consider moving on.
Next, your environment might be toxic. No one deserves to work in an environment that is toxic. If the culture, the vibe, the people, they just don't fit with you, then that is a clear sign it's time to pivot and move on.
Okay, so first question, are the signs pointing to a pivot for you? As you know, change can be scary. So to help you overcome that fear of change, we've got 5 strategies to share with you today.
Number 1, we're going to tell you, start small. Break down to the end goal into smaller milestones that you can conquer one at a time. This will be a lot less overwhelming for you, and you'll see progress along the way slowly.
I have to say, I am a huge believer in the keep moving forward philosophy. Even if the steps aren't in the exact order you planned, which is pretty much every day of my life, any step forward toward your goal is still a step forward. You have to embrace those steps as actual wins. And next, stop researching. I know I'm guilty of this at times. I get caught up wanting to know so much about what to expect that I forget that I already know enough and I can just jump in and start taking action.
And as you might have guessed, I'm quite the opposite. I really only need a few bits of info and then I am ready to dive all in. I know that we will figure it out and we will fill in the blanks as they come. The next one is trust yourself. Really, really trust yourself. We rely on this one a lot because if you've already proved to yourself that you can handle tough times, then you know deep down that you can really handle anything you're facing. So pivot.
Next, remember the journey. We think that what we're trying to accomplish is all about the finish line, but in reality, the big growth and the amazing transformations come on the journey itself. And maybe you won't even end up where you thought you would, like us, but if you pay attention to the opportunities that present themselves along the way on the journey, you may very well end up in a better place and one that you never even imagined.
That's right. And number 5 is make an effort. You see, change is not a passive process. It's not a spectator sport. And to affect change, you need to take action. You need to make an effort, even when you're afraid. Do not let fear get in the way of your pivot.
And that, my friends, wraps up the key points in the pivot mindset. We really appreciate you coming today, and we hope you now see that mindset is so important when you're considering pivoting. We really hope that you will seriously think about the 11 reasons, 8 signs, and 5 strategies that impact your decision to pivot and change. Change can be super scary and uncomfortable, but at the same time, a little fear and discomfort is worth the risk when you see the rewards. Come back for more free training on ways to accelerate in the new norm. But before you go,
are you interested in going into greater depth on ways to accelerate your business in the new norm? Then join us for the New Normal Acceleration Plan, where you can get training on topics unlocked each month to keep you on pace. Each monthly training is specifically designed to accelerate your business growth. You see, we've helped many Fortune 500 companies and everyday name brands sell incremental hundreds of millions of dollars over the last 31 years, and as a small business. So we don't do well with lots of lofty theories and concepts. We actually deal best with action. So we've packed our monthly trainings with real, doable action steps that you can take to make a difference in your business or your career today.
Each month, you will unlock one action plan training course focused on a particular topic related to accelerating your business growth in this new norm. It's plans like how to get more revenue from existing customers, how to find new customers, how to entice customers, new and existing, to take action, how to know what to say about your business, how to increase revenue through symbiotic relationships, how to expand your product line or service, how to stay focused as a business owner, and how to save time and money with low-cost online tools. One of these action plans will unlock each month so long as you stay as a member. Individually, these plans are designed to open up new opportunities for you to build your business. Together, they build a foundation that builds confidence.
Every one of our courses in the monthly subscription is valued at $297 on its own. But due to the need in the marketplace today to accelerate the growth of your business, we are releasing these courses monthly for a fraction of that cost. For more details, visit bizintheNewNorm.com. We'll also send you a link and an email so you can take advantage of a very special, very limited time offer. Thanks for joining us today.